Righto. Well, welcome to our latest podcast in our series Where Inches Matter. I'm here with Stu Russell, one of our dairy clients, and we've been working with him for a few years. And well, you better tell us a bit about what you do, Stu.
So we have a coastal property. We currently milking 900 cows on some quite heavy soil, which was obviously reasonably well compacted. And yeah, we've been a bit of a long process, but we're getting there now and making sort of leaps and bounds, and obviously new products coming along, which we're always keen to try. So it's things are looking positive.
How many cows you milking now?
We'll carve down 940.
Yeah. So you've gone up a bit because you got a new runoff, so you were self-contained sort of, weren't you?
We were, yeah. We used to winter everything at home and cause a fair amount of mud and quite a bit of damage, and properties come up next door, and so we're sort of growing the herd and push the young stock out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I first got involved with Stu, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, a bit longer maybe, because of their soil compaction issues, and we had a wee play, and it worked. Well, you better tell me if it worked or not.
We did half paddocks, and we only did a wee dibble here and there, and it was only the fact that we actually had a contractor come in and he ploughed one of the paddocks that had your product on it, and he didn't know anything about it, what half it was, and he finished ploughing the paddock and he said the right hand side, or the bit by the road, was miles easier than the inside.
Mm.
And it was then that we knew that obviously things were starting to happen. So yeah, it was onwards and upwards, and farm owners got on board, and we're away.
Yeah. Yeah, so as a result of that, we finished up doing the whole place with EnviroCow, which is the product he's talking about. But then in the meantime, I get a lot of products from all over the world, but one of my mates that I've got a business with in South Africa told me about this company in Joburg that was making this new biological product and products. First one was BioN, and it basically is free-living nitrogen fixing bacteria, which lots of companies all over the world have been promoting for the last 20 years. Pretty much all of them have failed because they're not reliable in replacing urea, and it's the guys in Joburg, or the scientist there, a microbiologist, he realised that it was, or thought, or hypothesised, that it would be because there was no autotrophic bacteria included in the product, which basically are bugs in the soil that photosynthesise like a tree. And so all they need is CO2 and water, and they'll poke out oxygen and sugar. So anyway, that was the story, and they started doing it, or trialling it, and it worked. They did a lot of stuff on sunflower and maize and various things like that in the Free State, replacing urea totally and using BioN, and it worked. So anyway, I went and had a look at it, got it for New Zealand, brought it back here, and Stu was one of the first guys that we gave some to have a go. And so you put it on, well, when a paddock's due for urea, you don't put it on, you just put this on, and they'll last 8 to 10 weeks. And so in that time, that paddock will be grazed again and won't get urea, and then again and won't get urea, and then again and won't get urea, as opposed to the paddocks that they're beside that are getting urea after each grazing. So what did you find when we gave you that stuff? And that must be 3 years ago now.
I mean, it was obviously a bit of a head scratch. I mean, you hand us over a little wee 100-gram sachet, and it was equivalent of bags and bags of urea. So I mean, it was always a bit of a 50-50. I mean, we're always up for trying new products, and I mean, we were obviously a wee bit cautious at the start, and obviously did some half paddocks and did our own wee bit of trial, and there was no disadvantage. We were quietly confident that it was a product that was going to help us, and obviously we've been low end user. We changed to liquid nitrogen 10, 12 years ago. So it's just another sort of natural progress for us. Obviously trying to use as less synthetic nitrogen as we can, and yeah, it seems at this stage to be a very good product that we'll keep on using.
Yeah, well, we've set up 7, well, there were 8, but now 7 replicated trials with a soil scientist, Dr. Gordon Rajendram. So he designed the protocols and the trials and everything and how you set them out. So we've been doing that for coming up 2 years this February. And, well, getting back to Stu saying there's no disadvantages from what we've seen in the trials. There's probably advantages in terms of more growth, but and advantages, it's cheaper. And now with the price of urea, it's probably about half the cost of urea. But anyway, these trials, we set them up February nearly 2 years ago and followed the protocol that Gordy arranged or told us to do, and he was there for the measuring and whatnot. And when I was in Jobu talking to these guys about pasture, they said, oh, well, 400 litres per hectare water rate should be enough, which is a lot. But, you know, these bugs, particularly the autotrophic one, he needs to be in the ground. He's no good on top. And a lot of ground are probably gone now because he hates heavy metals, so there's probably none in orchards with the copper being used and a bit of zinc. He doesn't like pesticides and insecticides, so most places have had a fair lick of that. And he doesn't like ploughing, or he doesn't like being exposed to the air, so ploughing and disking and all that probably knocks them around. I'm not saying you're wiping them all out, but I think we've knocked a lot of them over. So they're probably not in the soil anymore, or as much as they should be. So we've introduced them with the BioN bacteria, and they're the feeders, and the BioN poke out the nitrogen. They just grab nitrogen out of the atmosphere, nitrogen gas, and they use an enzyme called nitrogenase. There's a number of them. They have different nitrogenases in them, and then they produce, or ultimately, amino acids. And amino acids can be taken up directly by the plant via the bacteria going into the plant, and a sort of a process called rhizophagia, which basically means the plant eats the bug, or he goes in there. It doesn't kill him. The plant produces something like peroxide, melts the lipid or fat cell wall off the bacteria and suck out the goodies, the amino acids. And then they spit them back out with some other exudates that reform the cell wall and some sugar for a feed. And that's how the system should be working. The point is, if a plant can get amino acids, instead of its nitrogen being in the form of nitrate or ammonia, if they are getting it like that, it makes, well, they've got to use probably 15% of their energy they've made that day from the sun, photosynthesising, just to make the amino acids. And then once they've got amino acids, they can make them into proteins that they want in the body of the plant. So if you can get your nitrogen source in amino acid form, the plant's got way more spare energy to do whatever it likes. And the other thing about that is insects can't get their nitrogen from proteins. They don't like it, it'll kill them. So they like getting it in the form of nitrate, most of them, and some of them ammonia. But if there's not much of that in the sap of the plant, well, you won't have insect problems generally. And it's the same on the other side with the sugar. If you get plants that have got plenty of spare sugar and they're producing complex sugars, insects don't like that either. So if you're not using as much sugar to muck around with ammonia and nitrate to make amino acids, you've probably got more good sugars or complex sugars. So your disease is not just insects, fungal diseases and that, they don't like it. So we haven't really looked into that properly yet. We've been spending all our money, probably spent $250,000 so far in these trials, doing dry matter and actual growth rates. But we need to probably start looking at that. But we may be getting animal health outcomes and less disease in the grass as well, but we don't know yet. But so far in the trials, we're about 3 or 4% behind urea for the first year. when we're using this 400 litre per hectare water rate. Overseas in Africa, we're using it through pivots. So, it's washed in with lots of water. Most guys who've got pivots here aren't set up for it, and the bulk of the farmers don't irrigate anyway. So last February, we decided, bugger this, we're going to try and imitate the irrigation or rain. So previously on the BioN plots that we're getting treated every, say, 10 weeks, we might have had 3 or 4 cuts inside that time, and all the urea ones were getting 18 units of nitrogen every cut, and the BioN's one weren't. Right at 8 or 10 weeks when it was due, we got another lick of BioN on, and then we carried on for another 8 or 10 weeks with nothing. We decided to imitate sort of 4 or 5 mils of water like we do when we irrigate, or 4 or 5 mils of rain. So we were using about 4 litres on our plots. We used 100 litres with the same amount of BioN as a per hectare rate. And since then, BioN has blitzed urea. For example, one of the farms at Westerfield, they've cut after the treatment in February last year. We grew 11% more dry matter, and then into this spring, first cut, it was either 15 or 19% more, or the other way around, and then the second cut was 15 or 19. And we've just cut that farm again yesterday. We haven't got the dry matters back, but we're easily 10, I don't know what it'll be yet, somewhere between 10 and 15% more dry matter. So it's working well, and that's what hopefully we're looking forward to, Stu.
Yes. No, it sounds promising, and obviously that water rate is a bit of a game changer for the BioN. So I mean, it's like you said with the pivots, it's obviously a wee bit of capital to set up, but I mean it's going to be very good going forwards.
Yeah. Like a lot of guys used it last year, like Dion across the road from you, and we just told them, look, if it's due for nitrogen and it's a bloody hot day, don't put it on. Just wait for rain and put it on in the rain. And that's what we've done on the Waikato and that too. Or failing that, try and put it on and the pivot's right behind it. But it's made a hell of a difference getting it that water rate. It's made a huge difference. Because I could never really work out, well, we were going pretty good, but we were getting really good results when we put it in furrow on crops like maize. We were growing maize with 20 units of nitrogen instead of 200 and something in furrow, because it's in the ground, it's covered over. We've recently started playing around with a product combined with catalyst, which is another of these products, but that one there's got the bacteria that mobilise potassium and calcium and sulphur and phosphorus. So we were putting that in the furrow with the BioN. If the soil had enough P and K, we didn't need, and sulphur, we didn't put any fert at all in, which we didn't, because it had enough based on soil test of the amount of recoverable P, not Olsen, the actual stored P, not sulphate sulphur, the recoverable sulphur, so we know what's sitting in here. And it worked. We grew 23 tonne of maize. We've done it 2 years in a row now with no fert, basically, or no fert, other than 20 units of N down the spout, plus BioN and catalyst. So I think there's a heap of potential to engage brain a bit more with fertilisers and see what you've actually got on the dirt. Have your soil structure right, in terms of flocculation and getting rid of your compaction, and then using these bacterial products to make sure you've got the bugs to mobilise what you've already paid for, if someone else did. And hopefully make the job more efficient, apart from environmentally better, and we've got to be nice to the environment these days.
We do, yes. Yeah, no, I mean, it's all going in the right direction. It's just obviously there's a lot of old school mentality out there that is going to be very hard for you to change. I mean, it's going to be the challenging part. I mean, all the data, I mean, everyone can produce a nice shiny bloody graph or a bloody whatever you want to put in front of people, and I mean, it's a bit like the old grass trials. I mean, they still compare it against Nui, And I mean, depending on how you size your graph, I mean, the new grasses, they might be growing an extra 2.5 tonne, but if you look at a graph with nui right down here, then this graph with this big new grass, I mean, it's certainly, it's going to be challenging. I mean, with our farm consultant, I mean, he's been there and done that, and he knows that nitrogen, you get a response, and it's how they've all been taught to farm. There's no sort of looking outside the gate at other options. It's tried and true. You're allowed to use 190 units. You need to use them all, otherwise you're just selling yourself short. So.
Yeah, but when that first came out, I remember at a meeting at the Flash Ash pub, and there was probably 300 cockies there, and the advisors get up there and say, "Oh, we're buggered. We'll have to cut cow numbers." And I was sitting there going, "What a load of rubbish! Why don't you fix your soil up, and then it can make you more nitrogen for free, even apart before the BioN thing." We had heaps of our guys that were 450 to 500 units when we got hold of them, and you know, they were pumping the grass, but they had animal health problems left, right and centre with lameness or metabolics or whatever. But we got them down to 220, 250 a piece of cake in about 2 years.
Yeah.
And when going down to 190, well, by then, when they were having that conversation in the pub, well, we had heaps of guys that were only using 180 or 170. And now we've got guys that are barely using 100, and the ones that are doing whole rounds of BioN, they started recently, because you've got to have the ground temperature at least 12, probably 14 plus, or around there, forward, because it's biological, it needs to be warm. If they do it twice, they might use 70 units. I doubt they will, because they've only used 40 now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we have a bugger of a spring and something, I mean autumn, we've got heaps up our sleeve.
To play with,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the moment the pressure's off with the payout a bit, but you know, if the pressure does come on, which it will, it's cyclical. This is blinking sight cheaper. Like, it's probably getting towards half the price.
Yeah, because what, urea's $9.55?
Yeah, well, you're well over $2 a unit.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're going to use, in 10 weeks or so, 10 weeks, you're going to use 70 or 80 units. So that's $160. Plus, you've got to go around, or even if you're spraying it, you've got to go around with a truck 3 or 4 times. Whereas this is one lick. It might be dearer because it's bigger water rate. But I mean, if we're putting it on in the rain, or you get around to bang it through the pivot, if you bang it through the pivot, it's costing you nothing. Once you've got your capital cost of your injection system.
Side of it. Yeah, I mean, that in itself is actually not going to take that long. I mean, like everything, all costs have gone up on farm. And when we first started spraying, I mean, it was $21, $22 a hectare for a spray truck. Now they're $33 a hectare.
Yeah. So, oh well, and you're about to put some. Have you started putting the BioN on?
So we're just doing traces at the moment with a wee bit of N.
No.
So yeah, we'll do BioN start of next month.
No.
Yeah, we'll do the 2 lots, and that should pretty much get us right through till autumn, and then we'll just do the ammo.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in the Waikato, we still used it in April, and it was still fine into June. But it's warmer there.
Yeah.
I reckon you wouldn't want to use it down here after middle of March, probably, or even in late February, depending on the soil temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I reckon people here should probably give it the first lick early November, and then another one in the middle of February or something like that. And that'll probably take you to, yeah, pretty much. Well, Stu, it's 2 o'clock. You better go and milk.
Yes, yeah, no.
And I'll go and find something to do, I'm sure.
Sounds good.
So, righto, matey. Catch you later.